From the town edge to the edge of the state line, welcome to Central Lanes in Salamanca, New York. It is Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. Our returning champion, Andy Rettig, has made the 1.5-hour trip south. He will face one of this lineup of bowlers. Zander Koppenhaver, Shawn Mosier, and Ryan Kress will try to take the crown from Andy Rettig. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Salamanca, New York. I'm Paul Peck with Buffalo bowling legend Sue Nawojski. This is a classic Buffalo, Western New York bowling center. What do we need to learn about Central Lanes?
Well, the nice thing is we've gotten pretty south, so we get to see a bunch of new faces, people that are more local to this area. But we've got a new house with wood lanes that'll have their own characteristics that I'm sure we'll talk about over the month.
Yeah, well, and that means Andy Rettig has to learn a little bit about a different kind of surface. When you hear wood lanes, Andy, what goes into your learning process?
I'm thinking early friction and just kind of trying to control that.
Right, and that's going to be the key for you to be able to keep this crown?
I think so.
All right, well, can Andy Rettig do that, or are one of the challengers ready to knock him off? We're going to have a fun month-long stay here in the southern tier of New York State. It is Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, and we get rolling next. Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by Latina Boulevard Foods, your favorite family in food distribution. Couple of local guys from down here in the Salamanca Southern Tier area, Shawn Mosier and Zander Koppenhaver, will get us started our first match here at Central Lanes. And we started off with the 22-year-old from Bradford, Pennsylvania, which is only 15, 20, 25 minutes from where we are here, Zander Koppenhaver. Got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about with Zander as we get a better look at him. He has an interesting style and an interesting story behind that style, and whatever that style is, it's off to a good start.
Yeah, he seems extremely composed for a young man of 22, and this being one of his first TV shows, not his first, but one of his first, and definitely his first as a two-hander.
Shawn Mosier is 39 years old from Kersey, Pennsylvania, in the Bradford area as well. A little more of a traditional style and an untraditional leave of some pins to get Shawn started here.
Well, he got a little quick on that one, probably a little nerves, and pulled it. He got that inside of his target, which made it go high. Hit right on the head pin, leaving a difficult spare.
4-7-9.
Looking to get two.
He'll get the two. So, and again, we've seen guys come back from opens in the first frame plenty of times on this show.
If you're gonna leave
maybe all that was is to just shake off the nerves.
Yeah, well, there was definitely looked like a little nerves there. But if you're going to leave an open, that's the place to leave it.
Got a lot of time to catch up.
Much better shot.
There you go. Maybe that's all it was.
Yeah, that was about 3-4 boards right of where he hit on the right lane. Definitely more of what he was looking for.
So watch Zander throw here, and you'll see that there are elements of a traditional one-handed style mixed in with the rotational benefits of the two-handed style, and I'll let you expand a little further on that.
Well, I think what you're seeing here is someone that's extremely stable at the line. When you see him get to the end of his approach, that's where you see, is he two-handed or isn't he two-handed?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't fall off his feet. This one, right through the shot, great follow-through. And we talked to him, and his reasoning for changing the two hands is to create power. Look at that right there, right.
So he was a traditional. He came up, learned from his family, from his dad, from his friends, as a traditional one-handed bowler. And then what I thought was really interesting and so mature of him to say was he realized that he was going to struggle against bigger, stronger, more powerful bowlers, and he needed to figure out a way to be more competitive with them. So he literally made a very gutsy decision to scrap everything that he had done. He was a pretty good bowler, and relearn a new way of doing it.
And I think that's what you're finding with the younger people is that they can't keep up with the carry from the two-handers. So it's, you know, get beat or join them, I suppose. And that's what's his option to do that. Now, Shawn is a pretty big, strong guy. So he's a power player as well, and he's generating that power, you know, traditionally. Take a look at his style.
We'll get you a look at Shawn's style after he throws here in the fourth frame.
Definitely generating his power though with his upper body. You can he's a pretty strong guy, and he's tall, and his legs. He's no shortness of power there.
We'll ring around the 10 there in the fourth frame, so some spare work. 39 years old, I mentioned, from Kersey, Pennsylvania, employed as a process engineer. But the cool part of Shawn's free time, I guess, for lack of a better way to say it, as an entrepreneur, he and a bunch of buddies bought a golf course in the Bradford, Pennsylvania area, and they now run the Pine Acres Golf and RV Resort. And he said it's been an amazing experience and a lot of work, but a lot of creativity. You know, winter events, snowmobiling, cross-country skiing in the winter time, and then obviously a nice 18-hole golf course
Here, when you
in
told
the
me that,
summertime.
when
That's
you told me that, I was
great.
thinking he had his whole winter free to bowl.
Oh,
and
no.
then he just concentrated on summer. I didn't realize it was a year-round endeavor.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, you got to keep the place going, right? So that's a great story. Just he and a bunch of buddies. That the place was, I don't know whether it was, you know, in decline or on the risk of being closed. And they said, hey, we're going to be the ones to resuscitate it. Wow, look at that's interesting. Leaving the 9-pin there.
Yep,
Is that just the power of blowing the pins out?
Yeah, that's a power player. He's going to drive through, and the ball is supposed to take out the 9, but it misses it because it's driving so hard. Just misses nicking that 9-pin out.
Just a little high on the hit, and that made it fly by the 9.
It's not really as much as it's high as it is it's driving, and it's driving so hard it just misses taking out that 9. It's considered to be the one true tap, even though we believe the 8 pins and the 9-pin, and they are both taps, but the true tap is the 9-pin. The ball driving so hard it misses taking out that 9.
22-year-old Zander Koppenhaver works at Walmart, does some student teaching. You know, obviously just you know, out of his high school days there, and you know, and kind of figuring out where he's going in his life, and certainly wants bowling to be a big part of it. And there's no reason to think that it can't be.
Well, if he went through all the trouble to get to be a two-hander, he's definitely driven to stay bowling.
Zander told me it took him, he felt like it was a good 2 years of making the switch where he felt he was back to the competitive level that he had been as a one-hander.
Yeah, he's just so solid and so composed.
So is that where that solid upper body that you talked about comes from, the tenets of having learned that way to begin with?
Well, he certainly gave himself some time to become fluent at it. All right, so they both have strikes up.
Yep. Shawn Mosier keeps, like he's not busy enough running a golf course and having a regular job, bowls in one league a night right now at this time of year. High 838 series with 16 career 300 games. A Pennsylvania all-events champion in his past, one of his primary achievements as a bowler.
And that was inside of his target, too. He's definitely looking to hit a target a little bit right of that, but he threw that really hard and almost got away with it. But he's down 21, so these marks are important.
And he will get it. So that will take us to our first break here. Match number 1, Mosier and Koppenhaver. We're back to Salamanca, New York in a moment. Beat the Champ, presented by Storm.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true. Through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges, there will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
Welcome back to Central Lanes in Salamanca, New York. It is the first of our month-long stay here at Central Lanes. We're about 60 miles due south of the city of Buffalo, just a little bit north of the Pennsylvania state line here in Salamanca.
Big shot from here can really increase that lead. He's looking to go up 30 pins.
And that's a strike in the 6th frame for Zander Koppenhaver. 16 career 300 games, a high 838 series for him. Correction on that, 12 career 300s and a high 831 series for Zander. 2 times he was second in the Pennsylvania State All Events tournament, so he's competed at a high level, and you can see he's got that intensity.
He does. No, can't see any nerves on this young man.
Call it calmness, call it intensity, whichever you want to call it. Call that a 4-pin that won't go down.
That's right. That one bit up a little early for him. And you might be seeing a little breakdown here already. They're both playing the same general area of the lane, and on wood lanes you will see changes pretty quickly.
All right, so give everybody the refresher course on, just because this is only the second time in our show that we have been at a center with wood lanes. Manor Lanes was the first a couple months ago.
Right.
What's the challenge? What's the difference between that and what we normally see, which are synthetic lanes?
Right, on wood lanes the front is traditionally the first thing to go because that's getting the most pounding from the bowling ball, and because the wood will absorb the oil, the front of the lane becomes your challenge. So you want to have a ball that's going to get through the front. Tough break here. And that's what you're going to see. You're going to see them having to try to control their break point, but their ball is can start up earlier. He's got a lot of loft, and that one got really right. So you're talking about hitting the dry boards a little too early, and that's snapping up high.
Tough split to pick up, and only able to get one. So that's a second open in this match now for Shawn Mosier.
And he's
at
down
a bad
43.
time because he was already down a sizable amount. So, again, what's interesting to me is even some of the high-level bowlers that we see on the show, they don't see wood. They just don't have the frame of reference as much to understand what wood lanes are going to do.
Well, I think that we do range in all ages of bowlers. We have an 18-year-old coming up this month. We have plenty of 60-year-olds coming up. And the 60-year-olds would have grown up probably bowling on wood and a little bit more familiar with it. And that just tends to hook a whole lot more. And you're going to have different equipment that's going to be used on your wood lanes than it's going to be used on your synthetic lanes. Synthetic lanes just go a whole lot longer because you're just skidding on plastic.
That's another strike for Zander Koppenhaver here in the 8th frame. So a lot of these traditional long-time bowling centers that we go to, that they started as wood and then transitioned to synthetic. So back to your point, the older bowlers will have been more used to it.
Right, and and now even the synthetic lanes that were the first synthetic lanes to come about are really old, and they play way different than, your synthetic lanes that are newer.
Are there standard adjustments that a bowler has to make on wood lanes?
I think it's just knowledge. You just have, you know how the lanes are going to break down before, so you have a plan. The only other variable is where other people are playing on the lane. If you're bowling on a lane with a bunch of left-handers, your lane's going to change way less what equipment other people are using. So you're going to evaluate everything when you start out, but you already have an idea what bowling balls you're bringing to a synthetic surface or a wood surface. Yeah, he just can't get anything going here.
Yeah, and again, he's bowling against a guy that's on fire right now, and Zander Koppenhaver. As we move forward later on in the show, one of the other interesting tidbits to talk about with wood lanes is a little bit of the difference. You can see some dark, some light. That may have effect as things go on too. I'll tap into your knowledge on that as we move into our next match.
Absolutely, and I'm willing to bet that will be new information to a lot of people, because you're used to, seeing the lanes, and you see that there's a variation in the wood grain, which isn't abnormal for wood grain, but how it affects how your ball rolls on it. That's interesting.
And this tough match for Shawn Mosier gets a little tougher with that picket fence that he leaves there on the right-hand side.
Yeah, mathematically, this match is over. I'm sure he'd like to cover that spare. There we go.
Well, more time to get back and get going on the golf course. Good for Shawn and his partners. Good credit for that. Again, a little smaller setup down here where we are to be able to keep a cool place like that going for all the fine athletes and golfers down here in this part of the state. That's pretty cool. It's a 182 on the board for Shawn Mosier. Isn't going to be enough because Zander Koppenhaver is going to put up a pretty good score, which is TBD at the moment.
Yeah, he can punch out for a 258 here. It should be a really nice way to get out of the gate.
258 would be one of the higher scores we've had on this show.
Little area check there is what we'd like to call that in bowling.
Is that it?
That's right.
Gut punch, area check.
We want to see what's out there and see if it'll work for us. Maybe it's intentional, maybe it's not.
Well, so are you alluding to the fact that he might have tried something a little different there, knowing that the match was this game was already won? It sounds good to say that?
No, he missed right.
Okay.
But now he knows what will happen.
Yeah. So it's a big win for Zander Koppenhaver, and that takes us to match number 2, Koppenhaver and Kress. We'll have that for you when Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, comes back your way. Koppenhaver, Kress. Okay, here we go. It's our second match of Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. Zander Koppenhaver, after the 236-182 win over Shawn Mosier, advances on to take on Ryan Kress, a familiar name to our Beat the Champ viewers. This is his third appearance on our show. Still looking for that first championship win. He has a couple of victories in some matches. Last time we saw him was a couple months ago at Manor Lanes up in the Buffalo area in October or so.
Interesting thing about that is Manor Lanes is also wood, and the only other wood house that we've bowled in.
Look at you coming up with the stat of the day.
So he obviously, has the right equipment and has no problem conquering the wood lanes.
Second place on our stat of the day comes from our producer, Joe Chacon, who mentioned that Ryan has been on the show twice. Both times he has been on, he was the first match of the show, where today he gets the chance to sit back and watch two other guys and bowl in the second match.
Still, though, no one has touched his side of the lane, so for him it's still a fresh condition. He just had to wait a little longer to get there. But as our first left-hander, no one has touched that part of the lane other than practice.
All right, we were very impressed with Zander as we watched him in that first match at 22 years old. And we talked a lot about his style, and we want you to keep a good eye on how he does it. But again, I can't emphasize enough. And in talking to Zander, one of the things that popped into my head was, at one point in his career, which was already incredible and amazing, Tiger Woods changed his swing because he felt like he had peaked and plateaued and needed to be at another level. And to think that's a gutsy decision, because Zander was a pretty good young bowler, bowling the way he learned how to bowl, and said, you know what, I'm going to start all over again because I want to be better than that. He didn't like that one, did he?
It looked like he popped off that one. Definitely knew that right off his hand. We'll take a look at the shot.
Watch his reaction.
So he got that down the lane, too far down the lane. So he went through his break point, and he is looking right, but that one went further down the lane than he wanted to. So the reaction was delayed in the back end.
So he is able to complete the spare here in the second frame, and now we head back to 29-year-old Ryan Kress from Cheektowaga, New York, machine operator. Is the profession for Ryan, but he's as close to a full-time bowler as anybody. He bowls a lot. Oh, that
Holy
one.
Moly.
You knew that right away, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, that was so far right of his target that that was almost a runaway. Definitely a Brooklyn hit, but I guarantee you that is not his target. Got away with that, got away with an easy spare. If you're going to make a bad shot, you might as well yip it bad enough to leave yourself something makeable.
Right. Well, and he's got that here. And despite that tough shot, he's able to rescue the second frame spare. 3 full-time leagues Ryan Kress bowls, and subs in a couple of other ones. He's had 6 career 300 games, a high 835 series, and has had a couple of outstanding performances in some local eliminator tournaments, and then made the cut in the Obenauer Masters this past year,
And hey, he loves to
which is a
compete.
big deal.
We see him here. You know, he comes to every qualifier.
Yeah, I think that's and again, this is his 3rd show, so he's made about half of the shows that we've done here. So, but just a guy that loves to bowl.
Much better shot there. Still hooked up a little high for him. He's going to have to make an adjustment.
Of course, we've also seen his brother Tom on our show as well, too.
Yep, his twin.
Unless I'm mistaken, I keep waiting for us to get the 2 twins going at each other. I don't think we've had that yet.
And normally his dad reminds me that what happened with the other one. His dad is always here cheering them on.
Good cheering section on hand for Zander as well, too, from nearby Bradford, Pennsylvania. Had a chance to meet his dad earlier today as well.
First 10-pin we've seen for him. The lanes are definitely going to be changing a little bit now. On this one, he kept this one in a little bit, didn't get it as far right as he did at the last time on this right lane. Held up nicely, but hit just a little bit flat.
I know you have been really impressed with his sort of attitude and calmness and sort of locked in focus.
Very much so.
For a younger bowler as well. I get the sense that that's more of a trait that you pick up over time.
Experience, definitely experience and confidence. Even in the way he aggressively just went after that 10-pin. I'm going to watch him next time, but I really think that he used traditional form to pick that 10-pin up. He probably has another ball. Ooh, that was a big time hook on the. That was inside of his target. So it looks like I don't know if they're making moves or, he is definitely not playing that far inside on the lane. Everything we've seen so far has been out to the 10 board.
All right, so we've only had 1 strike so far in this match, but everybody's made their spares to their credit, so this one remains tight.
And it's important to say that with no one really striking yet, count is definitely going to play in, and that 6 count put him back a couple pins. Now he's behind in this match because his count isn't keeping up, and there's a strike.
Yeah, there it is. All right, I promised a discussion about the dark wood boards versus the light wood boards. You saw a good example of it over there on lane 8, right where the spot that Ryan threw, and we'll see if lane 7 has as good an example of it.
We can kind of see it on right here.
Well, yeah, there you go. Look right in front of you.
There's a break you can see the break between the panels and the lanes, but all of these dark boards are of different wood. And in this case, we're seeing midway down the lane a lot more dark boards than we traditionally see.
Hey, if you have a real hardwood floor in your house, not all the boards, even though they're maybe the same style of wood, some are darker than others. They look different. That's really what we're talking about.
Important to say this was a ball change right here. And with this ball change, he's posted up a double, which definitely could be a problem if Zander doesn't find his way here.
All right, so what do those different wood boards have to impact the adjustment for the bowlers?
Well, the lighter boards are softer, the darker boards are harder. So if you know that, you'll know that your ball will skid more on the dark boards. And in this case, there's a lot of dark wood. So squirrely things can happen with your ball. If you hit that dark wood, your ball could skid a little further than what you're expecting. The softer boards will help the ball hook. The darker boards will help the ball skid. So just like oil does, in this case, the wood you would use the wood for your ball to go straighter. So if you hit them going the wrong way, you'll see squirrely things happen. Even though it's a traditional house shot, that's an added challenge with the dark wood.
I think Zander would tell you his 5th frame qualified as squirrely based on what we saw there, but that's a good bounce back. It's a strike in the 6th. Zander Koppenhaver hanging in there with Ryan Kress. Finish of this match coming up next.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends,
great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
we are
The bowling proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Nawojski.
We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner. Spare in the 6th, strike in the 7th for Ryan Kress as he continues to put the pressure here on Zander Koppenhaver. And here's Zander eyeing the pins for the 7th frame.
So Zander switched balls to urethane, and he's going to be playing a lot straighter up the lane.
That was as straight as we've seen anybody throw it in a while.
Right, and that was the purpose of switching to this ball, because he was getting a squirrely reaction trying to open the lane up so much. So now he's going more direct down and in. With a urethane ball that will smooth out the condition. So he's cut the lead to 15, and now it's important that, all these strikes matter now. We're getting to the 3 frames left.
Yep,
and 15 down.
Working a double after bouncing back from the open in the 5th is Zander. And just couldn't get that 10 out of the way.
Yeah, he got that one a little bit right. And you give up a little bit of hit, like he got that one a little right at target, still rolled up, but flat 10. Yep, he puts his thumb in the ball for the spare. Flattens it out.
Best of both
spare.
worlds on the style front, doesn't it?
But again, we talked about it last month, where if you have a hole in the ball, you have to use it. So he has a ball drilled with a thumb hole, but he could not ever use that on his first ball, and being a two-hander.
The lefty Ryan Kress, oh boy.
Yep, he got that one inside of his target also.
That is not what you want to be staring down the other end.
Yep, he's playing more second arrow, but his trajectory is more left to right. Got that one a little bit in.
All right, so he gets the 2, but it's an open in the 8th now for Ryan Kress, and in an already tight match
Down to
with
2 pins
Zander
now.
Koppenhaver kind of finding his groove here. This one's going to come right down to the end. Ryan, again, as we mentioned, this is his 3rd appearance on our show. He has yet to make a championship match. So this is the opportunity for him to do that for the first time and to bowl Andy Rettig for the second time on our show. And that's an excellent bounce back for Ryan.
Safe to say he likes that left lane. He's thrown some really good shots on that lane. His carry percentage has been very good. Big shot here for Zander.
Gives a lot of credit to his grandfather, Dave, for getting him interested in the sport, teaching him the sport, being his inspiration in this sport.
Yeah, they're getting a little funny. He got that one up the boards and that one hooked up on him. That didn't look all that much different from the shot on that, but it just hit those dry boards and went left.
Good thing you got that late slide out of the 10-pin as well.
All right, so Ryan did choose to finish this match. He wanted Zander to post up his score and give him the opportunity to finish it off, and he cannot be shut out. Zander cannot shut him out, and he probably needs to at least double here to put some pressure on Ryan.
Yeah, that looked good. That looked good from the very beginning.
He didn't love it. He knew that one got a little bit right and labored, but that swisher hit, that light hit, has a good carry percentage.
Ryan Kress just waiting for his chance, waiting to see what Zander Koppenhaver will do with his second ball of the 10th frame.
Threw that with authority.
That's a second strike.
That was a great shot. Stayed down with it, got straight through the ball, watched it go down the lane. He knew that was good right off his hand.
All right, here's the final
Get as many pins
throw
as he can.
of the 10th frame here for Zander Koppenhaver. And that'll be 9. And that'll be a 196 on the board for Zander. And now Ryan Kress, 10th frame,
He
knows
must
what he
strike.
needs to beat.
He must strike on this ball. Threw that good.
Stayed left. And it keeps that one pin
There's
up.
an example of it being a little bit squirrely because on the shots that he's pulled, ball has gone high for him. That one he did not pull. He did keep it on line to his target, and it wiggled. So that's where the lanes kind of get a little squirrely, where we're talking about the dark boards, and that one wiggled on him.
Yep, well, I'm glad we discussed that because it winds up being the difference in this match that sends that young man, Zander Koppenhaver, to our final against Andy Rettig. Come on back, championship match, Central Lane, Salamanca, coming up next. Our host center for Beat the Champ, presented by Storm, is Central Lanes. You can follow them on Facebook at The New Central Lanes. They're just one of our many great host centers. If you want details on how you can be a part of Beat the Champ, just stop in at any of our host centers and ask how you can be on the show. And we might be seeing you in a championship match like we're seeing Andy Rettig and Zander Koppenhaver. We got a good contrast of young and older and veteran and tournament level and up and coming. This is going to be a fun match.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances to this match. I mean, Zander just switched this urethane ball, still kind of fishing around a little bit, was able to throw a double to squeak out that other match. But we've got Andy, who's another left-hander, who we just saw a left-hander kind of struggle with the left side of the lane. A lot more experience, and Be interesting to see how Andy handles these lanes.
So after a 236-182 win over Shawn Mosier and a 196-191 squeaker of a victory over Ryan Kress, Zander gets started with a strike in the first frame. And here's Andy Rettig, our returning champion from last week at the Town Edge Bowling Center in Buffalo, making the trip here. And we always talk about the champions who have to change venues. What kind of disadvantage might they be at?
Well, they did not qualify on this, where they're facing people who rose to the top, bowled well on this already to make the show. So although you have the advantage of being seated to the top position and just being guaranteed, first or second, you still didn't prove yourself on these lanes as being the best of the group.
Well, Andy didn't have the kind of start he wanted, so he'll rescue 3 pins, and it'll be an 8-pin open frame to get started for the 53-year-old from Hamburg, New York, Andy Rettig, making his fourth different appearance here on our show, coming in as our 2-time champion.
Right, and interestingly enough, he drilled 2 new bowling balls for today, and just kind of went on the newest thing and wanted to drill these balls up, not really with the intention of wood or thinking about the shot, because he hadn't really bowled here ahead of time. So he's really relying on his abilities to read the lanes, and he didn't even bring the ball that he used at Town Edge last week. That didn't even make the trip. So he's going on really new equipment that he hasn't thrown a lot of games with.
Is that what all you crazy bowlers do with all the prize money that we give you here on Beat the Champions? Go out and just buy more bowling balls?
Oh, yeah. Bowlers love new nuggets. Not me.
But, again, as we talked about earlier in the show, it makes sense because what happened at Town Edge has no correlation to what happens here, specifically because we're going from more of a sports shot at Town Edge on synthetic boards to wood boards with a house shot.
Exactly. Very well said.
So Zander has a little more experience bowling here through qualifying. He's from the area, but this isn't his home house either, so there isn't a huge built-in advantage for Zander.
Right, only that he's seen this condition before, and he really did have a plan. He brought this urethane ball that he has switched to, so he did have a plan coming in based on what he saw while he was qualifying and how the lanes changed, which definitely is an advantage. I mean, if you think about this, they're really going about this totally different ways. Andy's coming in here with balls that are super new, that he doesn't have any experience with, and is relying on his abilities to read the lanes and make shots, where Zander's had the time to make a plan and bring balls that he knows rolled well here. And still Andy's got a lot of experience, very confident in his game.
Is there a break-in period for a new bowling ball, whether does it feel good or just learning what it does?
Generally, the balls feel the same. The ball drillers are really good at matching the bowling balls up, but out of the box, they tend to have a little more skid, so they do change as they get some games on it and get some oil on them. So to me, there is a break-in period for brand new bowling balls, absolutely.
Strikes in 2 of the first 3 frames for Zander Koppenhaver, and Andy Rettig has to find some groove way left there, and it stayed left.
As we saw with Ryan, the left side of the lane didn't react the way you thought. When you got it in, it hooked. When you got it left, it kind of hung a little bit, and we're seeing the same thing for Andy out here.
Yeah, completely missing the pocket there on the left-hand side for Andy.
And he made an adjustment off the shot that went high his first frame.
That's a good spare pickup in the 3rd frame for Andy, who's now gone open, spare, and he'll flip over to lane number 7 and try to find the little groove that we know Andy Rettig can get in. He is riding a streak of having won 4 matches in a row, and the last 2 of them being why he is our 2-time champion.
Right, and he did that on a sports shot with the urethane ball when the lanes got tough. So we know he knows how to make adjustments.
Well, and that just comes from a vast amount of experience of having bowled at the tournament level for many, many years. 3 PBA Regional Tour wins, a Bowler's Journal Senior Tour title, and just so many other achievements in the long, outstanding career of Andy Rettig.
I think it's interesting to say that, you know, Andy, as being the high qualifier, got to pick what lane he gets to finish on, whether it played into the lane or whether it played into whether he wanted the match in his hands. Ooh, that was a tough break right there. Solid 7-pin. He probably noticed Ryan struggling on that right lane and having that awkward reaction and chose to finish on the left lane, which is the lane that he's also hit the pocket on twice. So
is that what you think he picked up from watching another lefty in the match before this?
I would say definitely. I would say that you learn a lot from watching other people, and he did have the advantage of watching another left-hander bowl on these lanes. And as easy as I could see it, he saw what happened to him on that right lane, so he probably did not want to finish on that right lane.
All right, on the brink here of doing something really cool for the 22-year-old Zander Koppenhaver from Bradford, Pennsylvania. Can he claim his first Beat the Champ victory? You know, and I think just as we've gotten a chance to see him, his style, his calmness, you know, it not being fazed by the surroundings, you feel like he wins this, we might see him hanging around for a little while.
Yeah, I could see it. I mean, I think he's great for TV also, you know, he's
we had the fist pump into the palms up like what the heck happened, and there's another what the heck happened moment.
Well, that evened this match right up, and even brought it to the fact that if Andy can figure out how to strike on this right lane, he can take the lead.
Boy, just by a sliver there, it misses that 7-pin. And again, this is Andy Rettig has bowled hundreds of thousands of games in his life, and he knows not to get too worked up early. It did the same thing it did in the first frame. I think that says it all.
I thought the wheels were turning there, and now he's scratching his head, and I can't blame him now. He tried to switch to the other ball, and that ball didn't really react all that differently.
All right, so does the 1-3-6-7 have some crazy bowling nickname that I don't know about?
It's kind of a washout.
I was going to say, or
on the other side,
or a WTH.
It's reverse washout to me, but it's a washout for
happened to me there. So, all right, so it's another open here for Andy Rettig for almost the same scenario that happened in the first frame happens in the fifth.
Absolutely, you know, the left lane is rolling a little truer. I expect that we'll see him hit the pocket on this lane, and he's got to leave that right lane behind him and think about it during the break, what he's got to do.
And there's a strike for Andy Rettig in the sixth frame. That takes us to a timeout here. It's our championship match. Beat the Champ, presented by Storm. Come on back.
From the most humble of beginnings to the pinnacle, dreams can come true through hard work, demanding excellence, and conquering challenges. There will be celebrations, along with the unending quest for innovation. Nothing is impossible. Storm.
.12X Tech Bowling Supplies is committed to continuing the decades-long tradition of excellence established by the DeSanto family. We are the ultimate destination for customer service, experience, and product variety. We offer an extensive inventory of balls, bags, shoes, and accessories. Our unique fitting and drilling process, combined with our in-house lane, ensures a perfect fit every time. With a range of repair and maintenance services, we can help keep your gear performing at its best. Consult our team today at 1000 Highland Drive in the J. Scuddy South Plaza, conveniently located off of 390 in Henrietta.
Well, during the break, Zander Koppenhaver really put the pressure on Andy Rettig with double strikes in 6 and 7 as both guys were coming off open frames, and That's not how Andy wanted to shake that memory and forget the open frame.
No, we were talking about how he need to come up with a plan here, and that was pretty close.
Look at that 8-pin wobble.
Just a little bit high. That's a 6-8. It is slidable, and he almost needs to do that.
And it's back to, well, it opens in 2 of the last 3 now, but the 3rd of the match for Andy Rettig. Certainly not what we're used to seeing. We've seen Andy enough on this show to know how good he is.
The challenge here is definitely that right lane. I mean, he went high in the 1st, light in the 3rd, light in the 5th, high in the 7th. So he's trying, but he's not getting there.
And he finally does in the 8th.
He hasn't had a problem hitting the pocket on the left lane. It's the right lane that was also Ryan Kress's demise also.
So Zander Koppenhaver knows that he is in control at the moment. Can he maintain that and put away his competitor and claim himself a beat the champ victory and a trip again for next week? That's what we're going to find out in these last 3 frames.
I mean, he's got the potential to go up 50 pins here on his next 2 shots.
There's your triple.
And there's 40.
Pride of Bradford, Pennsylvania, about 20 minutes away from where we are here in Salamanca, is doing his hometown proud.
He throws it really nice. This is a very smooth young man with good rev rate, good power. Looks like he has a good head for the game. We could see a lot of him.
That is 4 in a row, and it has been fun to watch and talk about his style, which is a little different than what we see from the 2-handers that we've had on the show before. And it really works, and I feel like, you know, this, call it a hybrid or lack of a better frame. It's pretty impressive, and so is that from Andy Rettig, finally finding a groove here for his first double.
Still a little bit high on the head pin, but enough to trip out that 6. Different ball on this lane.
There you go.
It was definitely the right lane that was the trick.
Figured it out a little bit, a little too late, but so another couple more here in the 10th frame. Already working 3 in a row and 4 of the last 5 on the strike front for Andy Rettig.
Yeah, his high score is 190, and Zander's really just going to have to keep it on the lane to win this match. Nice finish for Andy, though.
Yeah, just kind of figured it out a little bit too late, did Andy Rettig. And again, those 3 opens, it's hard to win on. It's hard to win against this level of competition when you go 3 open in a match.
Right, and that's the thing. Even struggling on that lane, they were unmakeable spares. It wasn't like he missed his spares; they were unmakeable for the most part.
Where the only open that Zander had was just a missed spare.
Yeah, didn't miss the pocket, just flagged the spare by a little bit.
Well, a strong finish for Andy Rettig will give him a 191, but the fact that he had that strong finish and it's under 200 tells you about his earlier struggles and leads us to Zander Koppenhaver finishing it out in style, looking for his 3rd match victory in a row and his first Beat the Champ title.
Kept it on the lane, and that's a winner.
So Zander Koppenhaver has come up with a victory over Andy Rettig, and we're going to watch him finish this one out and bask in the glow of the sort of hometown crowd that is here to cheer him on.
That's right. If you look at that game, he hasn't missed the pocket the entire game. He did have that miss on that 7, but he's been solid in the pocket the entire game. 2 7s and a 10.
Yeah, what an impressive run. That is 6 strikes in a row from Zander Koppenhaver, following up that missed spare open frame in the 5th. Can he end with 7 in a row? Again, he already had a 236 in his first match today. It is 7th heaven for Zander Koppenhaver and a big 238 to 191 win over Andy Rettig. That's your new champion, Zander Koppenhaver. We'll talk to him and wrap up week number 1 in Salamanca when Sue and I return. It's Beat the Champ, presented by Storm.
The Western New York area has long been considered one of the best anywhere for the sport of bowling.
And no matter where you live, we have lanes nearby.
For top competition,
Fun with family and friends.
Great food and drink, or just a night out, we got you.
We are
The bowling proprietors.
of Western New York.
Stop in and enjoy our sport today.
I'm Paul Peck.
And I'm Sue Nawojski.
We want to see you out here bowling for the top spot on Beat the Champ.
So get to any of our great host centers and get the details on how you can be a part of the show and be our next winner.
And don't miss any of the action here on MSG every week.
Yeah, so check out the show next week or get out there and qualify and be our Beat the Champ winner. Beat the Champ is sponsored by Storm, the Bowlers Company, and by the Bowling Proprietors Association of Western New York. Stop in and enjoy our sport today. An impressive 3 straight wins by our 22-year-old champion, Zander Koppenhaver, including a big victory over Andy Rettig. What impressed you as we get our first look at this bright young star?
Right, besides his age, he's made some experienced choices out there. So I kind of want to ask him a question about that. Because midway through the match, you did have to change bone balls. What did you see out there that made that happen?
So I was seeing a lot of friction in the front. So I was using something that would get down the lane. And as that went away, I just went to something that would get down and be a little earlier, get out those 10 pins.
How long did it take you to lose any of the nerves that you might have had of being kind of in your hometown? You got a lot of people cheering you on here. You're on TV. You're bowling a great guy like Andy Rettig. When did you settle in?
I'd say about 5 frames in. I mean, there's a lot of people here that I know, so it's just kind of comforting. Kind of helps me calm down and get into what I need to do.
What are we going to learn about bowling in this part of New York State and northern Pennsylvania where you're from as we spend a few weeks down here?
So specifically here, wood lanes makes a big difference for what you're going to bowl on and how you're going to bowl. Like when we were in practice for even on 1 and 2, you could not use urethane. It would overhook or underhook. It was just all over the place. And then here it's completely different. Probably the lights, I'm not sure.
Right. All right, well, he's already calculating and thinking about how he can keep this winning streak going. We're going to see him again next week. We hope to see you when we continue from Salamanca, New York on Beat the Champ, presented by Storm.